Hello and welcome to Side Talk, episode 9, I believe.
Nuevo.
Yeah, man, nuevo. Myself and Scott, we're back again to chat about November. It's been a fairly quiet month in wrestling, up until the last couple of days, I suppose. But we're here to talk about a few awesome shows that have that we've watched, and we're going to start with Full Gear. So there's plenty at Full Gear, lots of excellent matches. Almost sold out house, which looks absolutely fantastic. At what point, where do you want to start, dude? So much to talk
There's
about
so much.
here.
Yeah, better crack on. We can start at the very beginning if you like. It's one of the way I watched it this time was I got up at 6 in the morning,
Nice.
put YouTube on my TV doing that, so I wouldn't see any, other news channels saying massive surprise and a big picture of the surprise. So I
Yeah.
managed to get onto 0 hour, made sure I didn't fall asleep through 0 hour, and then put the pay-per-view on afterwards. So I actually managed to watch all 6 hours in one sitting, which I don't usually do. I
Yeah.
usually catch up with 0 hour as and when, but I much prefer it. I don't know about you, it being on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's easier to factor in, I believe.
Hmm.
I think. I'm still a crazy person and get up at stupid o'clock to watch it live because I can't not.
Yeah.
I need to do it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
had a full family day out the next day as well. So I got maybe 3 hours or so after the
Hmm.
show finished at 5. I went back to bed. Got up about 9:30, so that's 4 hours. Not too bad, and
Not bad.
managed just about to make it through the day on via fumes and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
all good.
Yeah. So
Um,
where did it kick off with? Anna Jay and Diana Perazzo, didn't it?
I didn't actually, for the first time
Mm.
ever, I didn't actually watch 0 hour.
Mm.
I meant to after the fact because
Mm.
I went to bed and woke up at like 5 to 1, just in time for the main show. So
Yeah.
this is the first 0 hour I've never not seen, and I
Well,
completely forgot that I hadn't
yeah.
seen it. So
Yeah. Well, the
go on.
Anna Jay versus Perazzo was a fine match. Didn't need to be on a pay-per-view, but apparently Diana Perazzo had to fight to actually get herself on the card. Apparently, she feels like she's not been featured as she should have been recently. So that's
Mhm.
interesting.
She's
The match
building
is,
this little stable, right, with
yeah,
Ty Valkyrie, and I
yeah,
think they want to get Anna Jay as part of it
hmm,
as well. So yeah.
yeah. I think there's definitely some there's some room for m- maybe having a tournament, building up the stables, building up maybe tag teams. I know they had that tournament a while back where I think Diamante and Evilise won, and it was like a random tag tournament, wasn't it? And
Mm.
everyone thought it was going to end with tag champs, but it ended up with a trophy or a medal or something strange, didn't it? So,
I
but
don't remember.
I definitely think that the women's division is strong enough. It'd be interesting with the rumors of what's happening with Ring of Honor getting a TV deal, who will be kept, because it seems to be Ring of Honor has a much stricter kind of separation when it comes to the women's division than the men's division. You won't get Athena
Mm.
suddenly turning up, but you will have Mark Briscoe on every. You know, there seems to be a bit more fluid with having Ring of Honor on AEW when it comes to the men's division. Whether that's down to the booking, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think 2025. You know, Tony Storm has announced her retirement, so you know we'll see what happens. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's all very interesting. There's a four-way match after that: Buddy Matthews, Dante, Commander, and Beast Mortos. And Buddy Matthews,
Oh,
he's just Buddy Matthews is so over, and the crowd loved him so much. He's just like that guy. He's great, and you know he's always has fantastic matches, and hopefully there will be Tony Khan will have taken note of. I think the House of Black look like they're going to be featured in some kind of face capacity. Brody warming to having earned the respect of Darby's earned his respect, and Malachi with the handshakes and things, and Julia coming back. I mean, they do have a problem with their their heels sometimes being so popular. Like you look at Okada, that people will cheer for them, whatever they do. So sometimes, I think if you come on to the next match, which was the tag four-way, and you had that was mainly used as a vehicle to show how Caster and the fans have kind of fallen out of love with each other, and that was a very interesting story. And Bowens was great when Caster, when he was suspended. A lot of people might remember that, when he was suspended over one of his raps. And Bowens went on a real tear in the singles division, and I think it's kind of it would have been nice to see him in the Continental Classic, Bowens on his own, but I think they're going to end up with Caster in with the Hurt Syndicate. He got beaten up, didn't he, by Swerve on the Dynamite after.
Dynamite, yeah.
So it makes even more sense for him to end up with MVP. Should be very interesting. But and then we had I think I might have skipped over probably the reason you didn't watch it. It was the Costco guys versus QT Marshall and the Rizzler.
It's a fat note.
Fat
note from me.
I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It was like a pantomime style. But to be fair, it was. The roles were clearly defined. You knew who the good guy was. You knew who the bad guy was. QT is an excellent hand. It came out recently that CM Punk asked Tony Khan for a bad guy that won't go into business for himself, and Tony Khan gave him QT when everyone was saying, "Who's the wasted match?" He probably wasn't talking about QT, because QT came out and said he asked for the match, and I'm the guy that does it. He's a great hand. He's a great worker. These kids, I have no idea who they were before. I didn't want to know. I didn't want them filling in. I don't know what useful information they'll knock out of my head, and the fact that I know who the Costco guys and the Big Boom and the rest of them, the Rizzler. But on the other side, it's kind of like it's had a massive impact on social media. I think it's the third most watched wrestling clip on Twitter of the year.
It's crazy.
So I think number one is Joe Hendry turning up in NXT. Number two was Taker at Mania, and then number three is the Rizzler. So, I mean, if it gets kids watching, then that's great, And AJ, the dad, it's turned out he wrestled with a broken foot, but he didn't want to let the people down. So, that's some Kurt Angle type shit he's pulling off there. So, I wasn't a fan going in, but afterwards I was like, I left me with a smile on my face, and I think it's hypocritical to say that AEW only caters for the sickos and needs to do more to cater to a wider audience, and then when they get a kids act in, saying no, not like that. That's how you do it, and it's not for everyone. So, like I say, you can watch it, or you don't have to watch it. But putting that front and center on a free YouTube show might have done something for the buy-ins. If I never see him again, that's fine. But they turned up, they did the job, and I've very much enjoyed it. But if they stay on TikTok, and I'm not really a TikTok's target audience, and they're bringing people from over there, then good. I saw Tony Khan describe it as similar to that he watched when he was watching G.I. Joe. He found out who the characters were in wrestling through G.I. Joe, then he started watching that and the A-Team.
On the Scrum.
And I was thinking, like, similar, when I was a kid, I probably saw Mr. T and Hulk Hogan in the Rocky movies before I knew anything about American wrestling. But when I saw that, oh, you could watch these guys weekly, then that's a good kind of handle. They don't necessarily have to be on. That's why I think Cody Rhodes turned up on Blue Peter the other month. You know,
Really?
yeah. Blue Peter badge and everything.
Excellent.
That's the proper end to the story when he got a Blue Peter badge. And he was
Yeah.
on Jimmy Fallon, I think, this week as well. It's all to do
Okay.
with the Netflix promotions. There's a clip on at the moment of Jimmy Fallon starts singing "Take Me Home, Cody Rhodes," and Cody Rhodes grabs his guitar and smashes it on the floor. I just wish he smashed it over Jimmy Fallon's head, because
Yeah.
that would have been excellent. But and
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett was threatening to smash the guitar over the little kid's head as well, but that didn't happen. So can't have everything.
Yeah, damn. So
Yeah,
yeah, the main show started with the tag title four-way, right? Between Private Party, the Acclaimed, Kings of the Black Throne, and the Outrunners.
yeah.
Um, Thoroughly enjoyable.
Mhm,
Absolute. It was a very, very busy match, as you can imagine.
mhm.
Lots to get in. The Outrunners are so over.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased for the Private Party after all these years doing the hard yards. They're finally getting their flowers. Kings of the Black Throne are just so good. They work so well together. Um, I kind of wish they'd just kind of stick to the tag team thing, and Buddy should be in the Continental Classic or something like that, because that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Acclaim seem to be breaking up soon. Max Caster is a moody boy suddenly.
Yeah.
He's a bit on the moody
It
side.
it's funny because he was putting out tweets about when people were saying, Shelton Benjamin coming, wasn't he? And he's like, "Who is this? We don't need you," and things, wasn't he?
Mm.
And everyone's like, "Is that real or is that fake?"
Could have been
It's
working, man. Yeah, you never know.
mm, mm,
Wrestlers are always working, always working.
yeah.
So yeah, the Private Party retained. They
Mhm.
pinned. Was it Caster or Bowens? It was
Oh,
Caster. It was Caster,
Casper, wasn't
wasn't
it?
it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Feed
Caster.
that heel turn.
Yeah, Caster
Make
ate the
him.
pin, and
Yeah.
yeah, on we went. And the
Mhm.
next match was MJF versus Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
Roderick. So yeah, what did you think of this one, dude?
Yeah. I mean, it's again another solid match, but it kind of felt like it would have been a little anticlimactic without Adam Cole there. I'm not said last episode. I'm not really on board with the way that they've had to pivot the story, because I think the story that they were going to tell was when Adam Cole revealed to himself to be the bad guy, that they were going to be the heels, and Max was going to be like, devastated that he's been turned on.
Hmm.
Um, and as they've kind of tried to change it, and you've got the elephant not in the room of Wardlow just not being explained, other than, if you read the news, oh, he's injured.
Hmm.
Is he or isn't he? And you can work around an injury. He's a big guy, just needs to stand there and look threatening, but he seems to have kind of been forgotten about. Got this weird thing where they're kind of inserting Kyle O'Reilly into that, where he's also doing the conglomeration stuff.
Yeah.
I don't buy and Adam Cole. I know him and MJF. The story's been going on since 2023, hasn't it? And injuries have happened and things have happened, but it's kind of the story's kind of fallen apart. I like all the guys involved. I just think it's a bit like going back to the Acclaimed, what was happening to them not too long ago, where it just wasn't clicking, despite you liking the wrestlers and then putting on good matches. The storyline is a bit off. I
Yeah.
don't, I think they're trying to pivot away from that by having, Kyle O'Reilly come out and say, this is not going to end well for you, Adam. But it's all a bit weird when you consider that the Undisputed Kingdom were the guys all dressed in black. It was always heavily hinted who they were. It wasn't like they've switched around the men in black. and they've gone round. They've gone round from kind of being like the proto Death Riders, or or like an NWO-esque faction, into kind of, we had to do it because we know how evil Max is, but Max wouldn't have become evil again if you hadn't have put him in that situation by turning on the friendship. Because it seemed that before, when they were the brochachos, the worst it was MJF would say like an inappropriate comment or cheat on an Xbox game. He wasn't doing anything malevolent,
Yeah. Yeah, the story is a bit weird. I find myself not really that interested, to be honest with you, because it's all a bit weird. I mean, like you say, injuries have happened, and it's they're trying to right a wrong, but it's just gotten to a point now where I think people are just over it. And I mean, the matches will always be good, but like, yeah, I think people would rather see MJF do something else, and maybe Adam Cole do something else as well. Because yeah, it's all a bit convoluted and a bit weird, and it's just like, hang on a minute, weren't you? And you were
Yeah.
a bit
Yeah.
odd. So yeah. And MJF got the win, and then obviously Adam Cole came out at the end, and I can't remember exactly what happened. Did he cut a promo on MJF or something to that effect?
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like, it was the most distracting thing is how tanned he is. The fake tan.
Yeah,
I think,
you could see how like bronze his hand was,
yeah, when he
more
was,
bronze than any other part of his body.
yeah, yeah, when, yeah, he really, yeah, it's kind of remarkable how super tanned, like spray tanned Adam Cole is at the moment. It's been tangoed. It's just a bit much.
It's been tangoed. Hell yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, I don't know where the story goes from here, but
no, it's a
hopefully it
bit of
gets
an
a
odd
little
one.
bit more interesting. But we'll see.
Hmm.
So, and then we move on to the TBS title match, which was Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander. I absolutely thought this match was awesome,
Yep.
and it is also a record breaker because it's the longest women's match in AEW history, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
They went to town, man.
Yeah, it's excellent. Really good. Yeah, Monet had a great match against Willow. So both Willow and Statlander involved in that storyline, and Monet having good matches against both these. It was so much better than her match against Britt Baker
Mm-hmm.
at Wembley. So that was where nothing was clicking. Everything clicked in this one. Really enjoyed it. Up there in like one of my top matches of the evening.
Mm-hmm.
It worked
Easily.
so much better without her having Camille. That was kind of, I don't know if it was very well. They've corrected now. They've realised it hasn't been working, and Camille's done a Virgil and quit.
Yeah.
A bit of a damp squib at the end of the day. But the actual match, yeah, Monet's a fantastic wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading in the week up to it, articles. Has she been a waste of money? Is she a big, I think there's a certain contingent of people just want to see her fail because of the way she exited her last employer. And they have nothing to say when she was in Japan, but now everyone's got an opinion. She's in AEW, but we can't deny that was an excellent match. And Statlander as well, just proving how good she is. When you go think back to Jade Cargill's last match in AEW was against Statlander, and that was Jade's best match.
Easily.
And she just is obviously someone that they can trust to, turn things around and put on a good solid 20-minute match, or you get the beats of the story done. But also Statlander's massively popular with the crowd. So it was a very good, after you had the MJF Roderick Strong, where kind of people were a bit cool on it. This was like the perfect match to fire up the crowd, and I would say like the first like proper match of the evening.
Yeah, and it was a damn good one. So
Mm-hmm.
bravo, ladies. And then we moved on to Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White, which I enjoyed thoroughly.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it's excellent. I love
two of
that.
the
Yeah.
two of the best about. The finish really took me aback, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was just like, that's fucking so confusing. But now, when you look at
Mm.
it, like Hanger just we're losing and losing and losing is just going to play into his unstable, crazy character. So
Yeah.
I see it now. But at the time, I was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
did not expect that to
The
happen.
commentary were going on, weren't they? He's lost 4 times. And you're thinking, there's no way he's going to lose. There's no way he's going to take it to 5. But Jay White bringing up to 5 is fantastic. And the way that they kind of played into that was with Hangman refusing to he kind of has this bloody minded stubbornness, doesn't he? He's got a game plan. He won't change from it. And he, like, if he gets the red mist descend, then that's when he loses. And they were, reversing moves on going, these moves over and over, round and round they went until one couldn't get up anymore. But yeah, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And both those guys now, moving on from the pay-per-view, contenders for Moxley's title. They're in that contender picture, and it's interesting that one of the criticisms for AEW is people get forgotten about after pay-per-views, or not enough people are in the title race. I think this is leaning more into the sports-based and kind of production, where you have, if you look at, say, like a football league, you'll have the top 4 all going for that top spot, mere whiskers of points and goals between them. And at the moment, they're saying that we've got such talent in this roster that, it's not just going to be one person after it. There's several people that have all got a valid claim to be, going up against Moxley for very different reasons as well, which kind of helps refresh we have to save AEW from the baddies, which isn't really working.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, next matchup was one of the absolute highlights of the entire year, if you ask me.
Yeah.
The story is really cool.
Mm.
The turn or the return, I guess, because he was already a heel, but then
Yeah.
the doubling down of being a heel and all this kind of stuff. The Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher it just absolutely tore the house down. I'm loving Fletcher's like new look, new just approach.
King Joffrey energy.
Yeah, King Joffrey energy. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, Osprey's attire with the Punisher attire, it was so good, and I loved how he just didn't do the usual energetic entrance. It was all moody, another moody boy.
Moody boy.
So
To know.
yeah, the only note I wrote down here next to my on my phone was what a friggin' match with 2 fire emojis. And yeah, it absolutely tore the house down.
Yeah.
Lots of storytelling, ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Ospreay is obviously probably the best wrestler on the planet at this moment in time. Kyle Fletcher is the absolute future. It's
25? 25
25,
years old? Yeah.
25 years old. Yeah, it's crazy. I
Mm.
mean, a few short weeks ago, I was pining for Aussie Open to reunite and absolutely hated that they were being kept apart, even though they're both like back together
Mm.
kind of thing. But like Kyle Fletcher's turn has been so good that
Yeah.
I care less because I'm so invested in watching Kyle Fletcher's development as
Yeah.
this new character. So I still want Aussie Open back very much, but like not
Yeah.
yet, not just yet. I'm banging to Kyle Fletcher at the moment.
Mm.
So yeah, great match. Absolutely tore the house down. So many holy shit moments. The tombstone from the apron onto the steps
Yeah.
outside the ring, like holy shit. Obviously, are the best friends, but could you imagine the trust you need to have in your opponent to
Yeah.
have to have them do that to you? One slight misstep and you are wheelchair country, baby.
Yeah.
Or even death. But yeah, damn, I'm
Yeah.
waffling. Tag in, dude.
Yeah, the only complaint I've got now is this is yet another Ospreay match, which is going to end up on my top wrestling matches for the year.
God
And
damn
it's
it,
just going to
William.
full of. It's just going to be. It's just crazy good. Everyone's kind of like secretly, well, not so secretly, just kind of thinking, this is going to be the match. And then you're kind of thinking, I don't want to jinx it by thinking, but then they just delivered. And it was absolutely fantastic. You know, it could have had shenanigans, Callis getting involved and whatnot, but he beat him clean. And you know, I think, you know,
Great decision.
yeah, and I think like people that have been watching, you know, both these guys working in like the independents, Ospreay and New Japan and stuff, and when they know like with Ospreay how he puts his money where his mouth is, and he really does do what's best for the storyline, and you know, he knows that kind of losses at this stage of his career don't really affect him, but also I think he's obviously very keen on how important it is that when someone's being put over, they get put over in the right way, or Fletcher is going into the the Continental Classic looking like maybe like hot favorite now. You know, we're going to get Fletcher versus Okada. You know, now when Okada came in, that wouldn't, and this is no disrespect to Carl Fletcher, people wouldn't be saying, "Oh, that would be a dream match." It was down for the work that both those guys were going to, more so Fletcher was going to do as a single performer, because he has been in a tag for so long to prove himself, and he's done that in, you know, spades. He's really come on and shown himself. That the only very nitpicky was when they had that promo, and Ospreay's like, "What have you done on your own?" And he thought, "Well, I was Ring of Honor TV champ, wasn't he, Fletcher?" But nitpicky. It was perfect. I thought it was. I really enjoyed it. You know, Davis coming back is fantastic. Seeing Will Hobbs any other week had kind of like United Empire colors. Whether that's teasing, and he's always been my pick for an AEW based faction for you know, a United Empire in AEW. So you know, him, Ricochet, you know, Davis and Ospreay, interesting kind of see how it goes and evolves. And obviously the Callis family, you know, quite strong lineup now with, you know, the tag team, and Takeshita and Fletcher like being like two of the, you know, the white hot wrestlers on this card. People that, you know, critics might say they need to look strong looked invincible, and that's the way it should be. And they're doing a really good job at the moment handling all their talent. Obviously, there's still a lot of injuries, but and we're missing a lot of people. You know, so when you watch a pay-per-view and you're like, Eddie Kingston's still out, Kenny Omega's still out. You know, it's like, and on and on. You know, it's quite remarkable that they're not hurting, because they have such a talented roster. And the guys who have come and want to wrestle for them are pulling out all the stops. So we'll get onto this later, when you have certain people that aren't involved and can't understand why they're not involved. Look at the people who are involved and look at them giving it 100%, and like looking, you know, will die to get to work for this company. So if you are, you know, refusing to work, then that's kind of silly, because you're not going to get used, are you? It's a shame, but that's, you know, it's a stacked roster with incredible talent, and yeah, that's the biz.
Just keeps on growing, baby. The roster at this point is just million people.
Yep.
So yeah, the next section was the Mariah May Champagne Championship Celebration business,
Champagne!
which yeah, I was 50-50 on Tony Storm's going to return despite retiring, or she's going to turn on Mina. and it was the turning on Mina. So yeah. Not really got much else to say on this, to be honest with you.
No, the spinning kick, Mina's spinning kick to kick the champagne bottle was perfect.
Oh yeah,
that was brilliant. And when they went
Gilded.
through the tables and they kind of skidded and then went through the second table, I was like, Mariah May, she looked genuinely hurt, but then I thought, no, she's pulling a Danielson. She's learned from the best on how to look like a bit worryingly injured. She's such a good communicator, like seller of being injured. And when they did the follow-up interview where she attacked Mina from when she was being interviewed by Renee, she was whacking her with that belt. She's, I don't know if it's like if they're going in with like proper whacks or she's just very convincing, because when she walloped Tony with the belt as well, that was really quite convincing as well. So really good stuff. Again, did it need to be on preview? Probably not, but they probably needed it to work in some time to change the setup for the ring, or they might have been expecting some blood after the Fletcher Ospreay match, or just cool the or change the mood after such an intense match. You needed a bit of comedy, maybe like a little skit on a record or something,
Yeah, I guess so. And so it'll be Mariah May versus Mina for the AEW Women's Championship. I'm assuming at World's End. I don't think it's been announced or anything like that. But then the match after this was Jack Perry defending his TNT title versus Daniel Garcia, and Daniel Garcia got his big win after a really good match, feel good moment of the evening, I guess. Really awesome, much deserved, and I kind of fish punched the air.
Yeah, me too.
A little bit.
Me too.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. No, it was because they had the intro of his mum doing the voiceover, and you really had, when he runs into the up to the crowd at the end, it had a very kind of Rocky kind of did it more kind of feeling. And like in the scrum afterwards where someone asked him, will you be customizing the belt, the TNT belt? And he was like, no, this is Cody Rhodes' belt, this is Brody Lee's belt, this is this is a belt that I'm gonna keep it clean. I don't need it as an accessory or to sell toys. I'm keeping it because I'm a wrestler, and this is a wrestling belt. This is the work horse belt, and I think that's a nice reset for the TNT belt, because that's what it was always meant to be. I liked Jack Perry's kind of caveman burnt up belt. That kind of really suited him.
It looks sick, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it needs to a bit like when a Doctor Who regenerates, you kind of need to have a kind of a change in the character, the character of the belt and the championship reign, because Jack Perry's was I enjoyed it, but it's a very smug, I'm not going to fight you for this. If I do, I'm doing you a favor. I'm kind of stealing wins here and there, and even though he's a very gifted athlete and a threatening wrestler, it's like now it's the belt's back on a guy that the crowd are going to be behind. And one of the big stories of this year was Garcia going to leave. Obviously, put a lot of faith and belief in him, and I'm glad he's not elsewhere now, and he made the choice to stay with AEW. And and I think another 5 years time, he's going to be one of the MVPs of the company, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I was very happy with Garcia resigning, very happy with him now being a champ. Yeah, very happy indeed. Which then takes us to the international title match between Takeshita and Ricochet, which was very good, very solid. I don't really remember too much from this match, to be honest with you. I don't know whether my mind's just been just awash with other bits from other matches, but it was fine. It was good. But I can't tell you anything that happened in this match. I really can't, other than Takeshita won.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah. I was a bit worried that, you know, and it's good that it shows you that they're putting him in good matches. I always worry that Takeshi's going to lose because when they announced the match of him and Adam Cole, which Adam Cole ended up losing because Takeshi used the diamond ring, but I was like, well, even if he loses and it's not for the belt, then it kind of makes him less of a dominant champion. And I thought, oh, Ricochet is coming in, and you know, big pay-per-view, maybe, you know, he's gonna, you know, I was thinking Moxie's not gonna drop, so maybe this is like where a face picks up a belt, or there's a, but I was so happy that they didn't. Takeshita continues to be booked how he should be booked, which is one of the more dominant big guys on the card, you know, scary prospect. So, you know, his moveset and his execution is so smooth. You know, he does stuff. You know, you can watch him do the Blue Thunder Bomb 1,000 times and never get tired of it. He's just silky smooth, and really love him being a heel. At first, I wasn't too keen because I was thinking, I'm not sure it's the timing was right. You know, I like because he was such a hit with the fans. I was thinking, oh, and I think part of that was that the Caddis family weren't particularly doing it for me at that time. But now, the way that the Caddis family is set up with, you know, Archer and Brian Cage as well, I think he's kind of got like an intimidating. They look good together. It makes sense. It doesn't look, you know, what's that guy doing in that group, or so good one to Takeshita.
For sure, yeah. So then the next match was Swerve Strickland versus Bobby Lashley, which was a good match. Admittedly, I've never been a fan of Bobby Lashley, like ever. I've never been that interested. I can't explain why, just never been. Going way back to previous companies and runs that he's had, I've just never been that fussed. Not that thrilled about him or fussed about him being in AEW now, but I am enjoying the Hurt Syndicate, so obviously he's a vital component of that. Just gonna enjoy myself. I'm really enjoying Shelton Benjamin though, like absolutely.
Oh yeah.
On the flip side of what I've just been saying about Lashley, I've been a huge fan of Shelton Benjamin for years and years. Great wrestler. Loved his 2016 run in Japan. His matches versus Marufuji are absolutely, they should be studied. So good. And for a man of 49 years of age, he's an absolute beast. But yeah, Bobby Lashley got the win in the end, which was the right call because he's just arrived. But I love Swerve, not hot on Lashley. So it was a bit of a confused bowl for me, this match. Weirdly, I just didn't find myself all that like involved, or whatever you want to call it. So
it's kind of those ones where, you know, Lashley had to win, otherwise it would make no sense him coming to AEW. And it was just like, was Swerve the right choice? Because he kind of monstered him, didn't he, for big portions of the match? Ragdolled Swerve around. I'm sure they're going to have a series of matches, and we'll see some, you know. So he's not going to. Swerve didn't win today, but I'm sure that you know, it's going to be an interesting series of matches. I really enjoyed MVP again at the scrum. It was a very entertaining scrum.
Yeah, next question.
MVP just gold. And Shelton, if you didn't know his stuff already, then like I'm sure he's like a revelation to like people that may have just not watched wrestling during the time he was active before AEW, and people that are just coming to. I can see him picking up a lot of new fans who will go back and watch, like you say, the matches you said in like New Japan stuff like that, and just see what a good wrestler he is. And yeah, interesting to see what the Hurt Syndicate will evolve and become, because a lot of people have got those cards.
Leo Rush,
Leo,
Caster.
yeah.
I
Acton
was
Andretti, has he got a card, or did he already throw that back? Or
I don't know about that. I can't remember. I would have put money on Will Hobbs,
yeah,
but he's busy doing other stuff, so fair enough. So yeah, that brings us to the main event of the evening, which was Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy, which was
yep,
obviously an absolute blood orgy.
yeah, and it was
It was
more orange blood orange, wasn't it, than blood
yeah, yeah,
Moxley?
blood orange. Nice, I like it. So yeah, it was just absolute carnage. Yeah, I remember the ending more than the contents of the
Mm,
match. So yeah, Mox got the win after a huge what does he call it now? Death Rider. I was going to call it a Dirty Deeds then, but that's not what
yeah,
it's called anymore. I'm reading Mox's book at the minute,
yeah,
so I very
good
recently
book.
read it, been referred to as Dirty Deeds.
Yeah,
So apologies. Really good book so far. Way funnier than I anticipated it to be. Really, really funny.
yeah,
So yeah, the end of the match was a big old hodgepodge or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Mox got the win, and then we had Jay White come out, and then he got choked out by Marina Shafir, and then we had Hangman Page come out, and then we had Christian Cage come out, and it was all a bit crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, Mox eventually made his escape. Yuta gave OC a Busaiku knee from hell that led to the pin, didn't it?
yeah.
And then yeah, they all ran off to the back, and then they tried to escape in the truck, and then Darby Allin smashed into it, and then got out of the truck, pissing with blood,
Heavily concussed.
screaming, that basically shaking his fist into the air like
Very much.
"Shake harder, boy!" Yeah, visibly
Yeah.
concussed. My ass.
How how would they be able to secure rental cars after this?
Yeah, so it was a very busy end to
Yeah,
what was a fantastic pay-per-view. Yeah,
yeah,
should
enjoyed
should we,
myself.
should we give it a star rating?
Oh no.
Yeah,
Nuevo.
I'll give it 3 pot pies out of 2.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
anyway, yeah. So
recommended. It's recommended, and the follow-up shows have been good so far.
yeah,
Doesn't look like they've dropped the ball. It's going to be an interesting build up to Christmas and to the two shows in Japan, which are looking really interesting as well.
Wrestle Dynasty looks absolutely stacked. Like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. New Japan announced that if you are a subscriber to New Japan World, there will be no extra cost to Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty the next night. So if you already subscribe, you'll basically get it for free, kind of not for free. There's no extra pay to access those shows, which is excellent news for poor people like myself. um, Although I've been going sick buying band t-shirts on all the Black Friday sales at the moment, so I'm just talking out of my backside really because I'm spending my money elsewhere. Anyway, so yeah, the Continental Classic started on Dynamite just gone, and it looks like it's going to be another absolutely fantastic showcase of many,
Mhm.
many wrestlers. Daniel Garcia's in there. We've got Cal Fletcher. We've got the champion Okada. We've got the Beast Mortis. Yeah, it's going to be a good time, and it's my favorite well, obviously the G1 is amazing, but it's not as readily accessible as the Continental Classic is. Plus, it's every single day.
Yeah.
For like a month kind of thing. So yeah, Continental Classic's easier to digest and follow.
Yeah.
Because G1's just like pow, 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 match.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, good times. Just looking forward to seeing Okada back on my TV screen. Apparently, him and his wife had a baby recently, so that might have explained why he's been missing off TV. So congratulations to those.
Yeah, congrats,
Those
guys.
peoples.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? You get people working for a company being allowed to have time off to have welcomed their children in the world, and you get websites that don't know what they're on about, saying, "Why is Okada not on TV? Tony Khan's fumbling the ball. Tony Khan." It's just I just wish there was a button on, like a big dial on my phone that I could just turn down the noise of ill-informed, incorrect bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much of it, man.
Or
So
just have
much.
just have a filter that when someone posts something, it has to be checked and it can't be released until like 72 hours later when you get the full story. Because the problem with this 24-hour instant news cycle we live in is a lot of stuff, and which is what I like doing about a monthly show, is we have time to, news stories pop up. Did they actually mean anything? Will we be still talking about them at the end of the month? Are they really that important?
Yeah.
And you can understand where a lot of tempers and discourse, but I guess it's like that with everything in the world. And if people click on it, it's earning some tech billionaire money somewhere. So
Yeah, probably.
it's not going to stop, is it?
One of the rumors that was doing the rounds got me very excited was so Speedball Mike Bailey apparently will be a free agent soon, and apparently is AEW bound, which is fantastic news for me because I am a huge Speedball fan, one of the best in the world. Been one of my favorite wrestlers for the past 3 years, maybe. So yeah, there was rumors he was going to debut in the Continental Classic, which got me like salivating basically. But it ended up just being a rumor. So if
I think
remains to be seen if and when and what and stuff, what he's doing and where he shows up and stuff. So
I think last I heard is that he's done with TNA, but because of his no compete, he won't be able to do anything until the new year. So again, we were just talking about those shows in Japan. That would be a great place for Speedball to turn up. And
stop it!
probably a big factoring helping him decide where he'd want to go next. I've been, last few years, a couple of years, I've seen Speedball versus Ospreay, and that was, my eyeballs were boom, 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 boom. What the, to see that again? Yes, please. So many possibilities, and it is a bit concerning that people seem to be finishing up with TNA now. It seems to be, is Josh Alexander done as well, or on his way? Or out?
Well, he had his contract extended against his will, kind of. I guess it's coming up to almost a year ago now. So
Right.
yeah, he'll be a free agent soon enough, and also he's retired from independent dates. So I wonder what that means overall. Where could he go afterwards? I think WWE might be interested. But we'll see. All the best to Alexander. He's one of the best about and deserves everything.
The way I meant it was in kind of like the way we picked TNA as our promotion of the year last year, because they had such a strong run of pay-per-views and they made so many good signings under Scott D'Amore, and now it seems to kind of have done a 180 from that potential, and people are either going to like lining themselves up for a career via NXT into WWE or letting their contracts run down. The Hardys are the tag champs, aren't they, at the moment over there?
It's very flat. So I've not watched it in a while, but I've tried to keep up to what's going on, but it seems very flat, and I'm just I don't really want to get involved, kind of thing. Unfortunately,
No.
so it's a weird mood. You know, when the whole rebrand happened at the back end of last year, it was white hot. But then, January, Demore gets fired, and it's all like what just happened, kind of thing. So
watch and see again, but it's kind of a year, and it's I mean, let's hope that it can continue and kind of get a bit of its identity back. You know, and there's some great wrestlers that you've signed. Some of our favorites are on there. You know, Leon Slater, for example, and you know, so there is a hell of a lot of potential there. It's just one of those weird situations where we kind of like, okay, what next? What next? You know, let's see.
Yeah, for sure. So for this next part, we're gonna talk. Well, I'm gonna talk about the Progress show that I went to in Manchester a couple of weeks ago. It was a riot of a good time. It was hosted by Simon Miller, who was So it was, and he's always entertaining. And I got to have a chat with him after the show. Really nice guy. Not as tall as I was expecting, but I've heard that before. But I am 6'3", so you know I make most people
it's not,
look small.
You're not a fair measure of the height for.
But an absolute lovely guy. So the card had a few highlights. So Lycos Jim versus Truman Lacey. Truman Lacey I saw at the Progress and Noah show for the first time a few months ago, and then I forgot who they were. And then this show reminded me what the names were. They're like really southern Cockney,
brash youngsters.
Brash,
full of vim and vigor.
Aggro tag team, just giving people grief and earfuls and whatnot. But Lycos Jim are fucking brilliant. We had the Experience versus Moth Dog. Moth Dog are just hilarious, and they have Will Cruz now, who I'm a big fan of, as their #1 nephew. It's absolutely fantastic to see Will Cruz in Progress, and I do always love to see like the independent talent make their way up, kind of, because obviously Progress and Rev Pro, it's a different stage to all the others, with respectively speaking. So seeing Will Cruz on that stage is brilliant. And also Natalie Sykes and Miles Kamen both made their Progress debuts, who I've seen Natalie Sykes many times for True Grit and Tidal and a couple of other shows. And I've seen Miles Kamen at a Tidal show before. He works a lot up in BWR, which is Scotty Rourke's promotion, I believe. So it was brilliant to see them make their debut. Sykes lost to Emerson Jane, who came out to Electric Callboy, and I had a good sing along to that because it's good fun. And surprisingly, Miles Kamen pinned Connor Mills on his Progress debut, which was a pleasant surprise for me. But you called it when we were talking about it a little bit. Connor Mills seems to lose a lot in Progress, was something that you said. And he lost here again, but he was a babyface during this match. He then had like a video section backstage with I've forgotten who his tag team partner is now, but he had a word spoken to him by some guy. Apologies, some guy. And he's basically wound Connor Mills up and brought the anger out. So then at the end of the Lycos Jim match, they both came out and turned heel and laid waste to Lycos Jim. So they'll have a match. Or did they have a match at Vendetta 2? Did that already happen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Did it happen?
Let me just, because it was all 1 week, then the next week, then
a lot of the matches on this show led to what was on Vendetta 2 the next. So we had Smoking Aces versus Subculture, which was good fun. Subculture are just so good. Smoking Aces are good too, so fair play to them. We had Cara Noir. Amazing to see Cara Noir after such a long layoff. He went up against Charlie Evans, who was new for me. And it's always interesting to see, like, well, intergender or whatever you want to call it, just that dynamic. But she's hard. She's hard as nails, man. She was giving it to Cara, and I think Cara picked up an injury actually, and had to be pulled from an upcoming match against Vikingo, which is a damn shame. So speedy recovery to Cara after just coming back very recently. The main event was one of the best things I've ever seen with my own eyes. It was the Young Guns, which is Ethan Allen and the Progress World Champ Luke Jacobs versus Boisterous Behavior, which was Manlet DeReese and Leon Slater. They went for about 45 minutes. They were just absolutely everywhere. The match was so good. Like, so many near falls and hot tags, and man, people absolutely love Leon Slater. It was incredible. Like, just when you thought the match was about to end, it was like, oh, he's kicked out. Oh my God, holy shit. It was amazing. It was absolutely fantastic. So bravo. And the real shock here was that Leon Slater pinned Progress World Champion Luke Jacobs, which then led to their match at Vendetta 2 the following week. So yeah, it was a hell of a show. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. A good venture to Manchester.
Yeah, and
so happy days.
It was bugging me. Nico Angelo is the
wrestler. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a brain fart and I couldn't.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of shows.
Yeah, my memory retains some things, but not all things.
No.
So yeah, moving on from the independent shows that we've been to, just want to say that Kenny Omega is very close to making a return, and I'm so excited to see him back in the ring. And he has a match at Wrestle Dynasty versus Gabe Kidd, which is fucking huge for Gabe Kidd. A huge feather in Gabe Kidd's cap.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like, if you were to say, okay, when Kenny comes back, do you want him to go to AEW or New Japan? Go, New Japan be quite interesting. And then if you like to, and then someone's asked you, who'd you like to see him fight? Oh, wouldn't mind seeing him fight Gabe Kidd, but it will never happen. And then the reality has kind of been like this weird kind of fantasy booking for like a lot of fans would have picked that as like, it will never happen, but wouldn't it be great if it did happen? Because we all know how good Gabe is on the mic, how he gives no fucks, and he's already given a lot of shit to Kenny, and it's already, led to backstage fisticuffs, which led to some people speculating if it was real or a work or a shoot brother. And so that's job done. Brilliant.
Yeah, so yeah, a huge feather in the cap of Gabe Kidd, and I do honestly feel like Gabe Kidd is going to be world champion New Japan down the line, and being given this match against Kenny is a very good sign in that direction, I would say.
Definitely.
And speaking of world champion in New Japan, former world champion Sanada turned his back on inexplicably turned his back on leading just five guys to then just being another member of Bullet Club War Dogs, which is still kind of inexplicable, but like I'm digging it because I love bleach blonde heel Sanada.
He turned his back and he reached
really
for that bottle of bleach. It's the bleach that makes him,
Yeah, as soon as he turns heel, got to have bleach hair. So. But still kind of inexplicable, but it's happened, and I'm here for it, kind of thing. So whatever.
Yeah. Because obviously, Robbie X is on Bullet Club now, and it's two things you probably didn't have on your Bullet Club bingo card for 2024.
No, not in the slightest. Yeah, no. So fair enough. Like,
Yeah. Let's see what happens, eh? Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, for sure. And I think the last thing really to talk about is, if you want to talk about it, is so Effie had some words to say about AEW and the Khans. And unfortunately, Ricky Starks, who had very recently made his GCW debut and had a few matches coming up, got stuck in the middle of it. And because of Effie's seeming lack of respect, would you call it?
it's
Um,
weird, isn't it?
yeah,
Excuse
Ricky
me.
Starks has been pulled from those shows, and
Yeah.
it's more kind of like, what the fuck is happening with Ricky Starks? But it's kind of Effie's bad,
Yeah.
really, isn't it? I
It's
don't
a
see a,
shame, isn't it?
I don't see a problem if, I mean, AEW allowing their talent to work other companies' shows is
Hmm.
based on goodwill, respect, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if
It,
there's no goodwill or no respect, then what's the point?
yeah. It's a very messy situation. It's not been a very amicable breakup, if that's what it is, between Ricky and AEW. His interview on Chris Van Fleet, I was like, when he was saying, he can't help if people are going to release security footage of him, which, yeah, 100% he can't. And also, it's known that he's friends with Cody. People from AEW and WWE are friends with each other. Dustin that went to WWE, there's no problem.
Mhm.
People will go and hang out at, GCW. Josh Barnett, wrestlers are wrestlers, and wrestlers will be friends with, you
Yeah,
know, they will be married. Spoiler alert to people from other companies.
yeah, true.
This kind of division really just exists in the minds of, um, this lot against that lot. But I don't know. I think there's something that obviously, it's if it we obviously Ricky Starks has put his side of the story across. Um, we're not really hearing anything from Tony Khan, but it's kind of why haven't we seen him in AEW when he's popular, he can wrestle,
Very
storylines are
popular,
there,
and he's healthy.
and he's healthy. Same go, we've heard Miro after his release, and stories coming up at him refusing storylines. Um, And did you hear the one with Danhausen? And he's not being given anything to do. Brian Danielson was pushing for Danhausen to be used. And if
Hmm.
Brian Danielson can't get you on AEW, what is going on? So I think there is the big thing for me is that unanswered question of when, and obviously it's not a one size fits all, but when people aren't being used and they can wrestle, why not? What has happened? Is it you know that infamous line now of from the Ariel Hawani interview with CM Punk, where he was like, Tony is a nice guy but he's not a boss. And is this now with what's happened with the Lucha Brothers, Tony Khan's having to put his foot down and kind of you know not be afraid of not being everyone's friend? But it's, again, you don't know. Nobody really knows, do they? It's and on the Netflix the Mr. McMahon documentary, there's a bit with Two Cold Scorpio where he says, they're talking about Shane McMahon and Stephanie when it was looking at, like, one of them was going to take over the company, and Scorpio's like, well, Shane's a nice guy, and the thing about nice guys in wrestling is people will take advantage of you, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
I see that. Yeah.
it all seems to have kind of, you can kind of draw a point back to when everything seemed to be going fine when CM Punk was running Collision. Then he left, and then a bunch of people were never seen again.
Hmm.
Ricky Starks was going great guns on Collision, cutting some white hot promos. He got Adam Copeland to stumble his lines. He threw off one of the veterans. He made that Hamilton made of
that really pushed me to the edge.
he made a bit of a he made a tit of himself trying to call him a vanilla midget, and he's like, oh, what but yeah, it just seemed odd. The Effie thing is kind of yeah, it's kind of the consequences of what he said as kind of whether it really did upset Tony Khan, because we know he's very protective when he's fat. I think Tony can take it when it's if you say Tony Khan did blah, 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 he can't book la 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 la. But when he brought his father into it, I think like similar to when his mother was ill and there was rumors of people contacting talent, and he was like, when my mother was, so I think he's very protective of his family. So if that's what's happened to make him say, and I think I've heard it now, and again, it's one of those things where we probably need a bit more time to let the dust settle. It's either he's pulled Ricky Starks and Ricky Starks only, but I think it's anyone from AEW now will not be allowed to wrestle for GCW. Which, what happens with the Bloodsport? What happens to Danhausen's been on GCW a lot in the past year, and also I think if he can say what he likes on his podcast, but if that's what's happened, then that's very unfortunate because it's affected a lot of people. And also, when you think about I was reading a good point where they were saying that Moxley was was allowed to go onto GCW shows, which sold them a lot of tickets, and also they featured Nick Gage on Dynamite. And that Domino's advert, and Matt Swan, and that's where it's like, okay, you might have these
weird,
little,
yeah.
And I think it was, people were saying he was kind of what the trigger was the fact that AEW were running the Hammerstein close to what GCW were doing, but the Hammerstein is kind of synonymous with Ring of Honor in that regard. So I can see you kind of like maybe saying something in the heat of the moment, like, well, we go to this venue, we're a small company, and now you might feel a bit attacked that a bigger company is coming in a week later, or that they're nicking your idea. But I think that's a bit short-sighted, and they've had a very good working relationship before, which has been very beneficial to GCW, I would say. I mean, I'm a big fan of a lot of the wrestlers, and I'm sure I'm sure it will sort itself out. And but for the time being, it was a lot of drama this week, and a lot of people were getting blamed, and a lot of people were overblowing it and saying, well, this proves that Tony Khan he's as bad as the rest of them. But at the end of the day, you got to run a business, and if you've been gracious and helped out a smaller business by allowing them to use your wrestlers, and then they've kind of turned around and said, well, you've not really worked for your money because you get it from your old man, then
yeah, fair enough. It's a weird one. It's
a weird one.
It seems fairly needless. It's unfortunate. Hopefully it gets resolved, and we can move on. My take on the Vicky Starks and Danhausen thing is that I think they're both seen as CM Punk guys, and Tony Khan doesn't want them around, kind of thing. I could be wrong. That's just how that's just the hunch that I've had since they've basically both been missing in action for months. Danhausen for over a year, and Starks since he dropped the tag team title belts with Big William,
Large William,
Big Willie style.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see. So if you are still watching at this point, thank you very much. We'll start winding down now. Means a lot for you guys to stick with us. What do you think of what we've spoken about? Let us know in the comments. Do you agree, disagree? Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to add away, comment away? Yeah, so we'll be back at the end. Well, maybe not at the end of that December because it's a bit tricky, isn't it, around Christmas? We'll
It's
see.
Christmas.
We'll be back in a few weeks, and what I'm thinking is we'll just talk about our favorite matches instead of doing like a review kind of thing. Maybe
Yeah,
talk about a couple of bits and pieces.
spoiler alert, it's all Costco guys and the Rizzler.
Yeah, and apparently we'll Ospreay matches. So yeah, we'll just talk about our favorite matches and favorite shows and favorite moments kind of thing. So but yeah, we'll do a 2024 recap kind of thing.
Yeah,
Which should be fun.
Yeah, and if people want to put in the comments what their picks for the year so far have been, then we can talk about them next time.
Absolutely, great idea, dude. Yeah, so Scott, where can people find you on socials?
Scenes of Graphite Horror on the Instagram.
On the Instagram.
On the Instagram. Talking about the Danhouse music. So yeah, if you see the artwork used for the show, that's me. So if you want to see more, go there, and you might see me pop up on various wrestlers' stories when they're kind enough to share.
Yes, send him lots of monies. And you can find me at Metal X Wrestling. Give us a follow, and yeah, like, subscribe, share the episodes. Any love is appreciated very much, and yeah, thank you so much for sticking with us. See you in a few weeks. Peace, love, and